He saw me packing and he didn't stop me, not even once, and I think that's what broke something in me. Because part of me still thought there would be a moment where he'd say something, anything, but that moment never came. And the strangest part is I didn't plan to leave that morning. I didn't wake up thinking, this is the day it happened. Slowly, after watching him make coffee, like nothing happened. After everything that should have changed something but didn't. And I remember standing there in the kitchen, realizing something. If I stay, this becomes normal. And that thought was enough. I didn't say anything. I didn't start a conversation. I just turned around and walked to the bedroom. And even that felt strange, like I was moving inside a moment that didn't fully feel real yet. And when I got there, I didn't rush. I didn't panic. I just stood there for a second, looking around at everything, the bed, the closet, the small things that used to feel familiar and suddenly didn't. And I kept thinking, how many times did I ignore something in this same space? How many times did I convince myself things were fine because it was easier than questioning it, and I didn't let myself go too far into that because I knew if I did, I might stop and I couldn't not anymore. So I opened the closet and I paused for a second, my hand still on the door, because suddenly it didn't feel like just a closet anymore. It felt like everything I had been holding together without realizing it. And I started noticing things, small things, the way my clothes were mixed with his, the way nothing really felt separate, like I had slowly adjusted my space to fit his without questioning it. And that thought stayed longer than I expected because it wasn't just about leaving. It was about how much of myself I had already adjusted before even getting to this moment. And I kept moving, not because I was sure, but because stopping felt worse, and grabbed the first thing I saw, a shirt. Not even thinking, just starting, because starting was the hardest part. And once I did, everything else followed. Folding, placing, moving piece by piece, and the room stayed quiet. Too quiet, and I could hear him in the other room moving like usual, like this was just another morning. And I kept waiting for it, that moment where he notices, where he walks in, where he asks, "What are you doing?" But nothing happened. And that silence started to feel louder than anything, because it wasn't confusion, it wasn't delay, it was absence. And I kept going, adding more things, not even checking what I was taking. Just knowing I needed to keep moving because stopping felt dangerous, like I might start thinking, and thinking would slow me down, and I didn't want that. And at some point, I realized something. I wasn't shaking, I wasn't crying, I wasn't even angry. I was just clear, and that clarity felt unfamiliar but right. Like something finally aligned after not making sense for a long time. And I zipped the bag, and that sound felt louder than it should have because it marked something. This wasn't a thought anymore. This was happening. And I picked it up, and I could feel something building in that moment. Not fear, not even hesitation, just awareness. Like I knew this was the point where everything would either become real or fall apart. And I wasn't sure which one I wanted, but I kept going because going back didn't feel like an option anymore. And walked toward the door, and that's when everything slowed down again, because I knew this was the part where something should happen. And I stepped into the living room, and there he was, sitting on the couch, phone in his hand, scrolling completely normal, like nothing had changed. And for a second I stopped, not because I didn't want to leave, but because I was waiting for a reaction, a question, a look, something, anything. And he looked at me long enough to understand what he was seeing. Not just a glance, not accidental. He saw the bag, he saw me, and for a second I thought, this is it. This is where something changes, but it didn't. Just for a second. His eyes moved up, took me in the bag, everything, and then back to his phone like it didn't register or like it didn't matter. And that moment, that exact second is the one I keep replaying because that's where everything became clear. Not the night before, not the question, not his silence, but this was different because now he saw it and still did nothing, and I kept standing there a little longer than I should have, just to be sure, just to confirm that I wasn't imagining it, that this was really happening, and nothing changed. No words, no movement, no reaction. And that's when something in me shifted completely, because I realized I was the only one who understood what this moment meant for him. This wasn't the end. This wasn't even a problem. This was just another moment. And I didn't say anything. I didn't ask. I didn't explain because suddenly I didn't need to. And I walked past him slowly, not rushing, not hesitating, just moving toward the door. And even then, I waited just a second. Hand on the handle for something, anything, but there was nothing. And that silence said everything, because sometimes it's not what people do that shows you the truth. It's what they don't do when it matters. And I opened the door and stepped outside, and I stood there longer than I expected because leaving doesn't feel like what people imagine. It's not relief. Not immediately, it's quiet, almost empty. Like your mind is trying to catch up to what your body just did. And I kept thinking, did that really just happen? Did he really not react? Did I really just walk out? And the more I thought about it, the clearer it became. This wasn't sudden. This didn't start today. This was built over time, in small moments. I chose not to see, and now they all led here, and the air felt different. Not lighter, not heavier, just real. Like I was finally in something that matched what I felt inside. And I didn't look back. Not because I didn't want to, but because something in me knew if I turned around even for a second, I would start looking for something. A reaction, a sign, anything to make it harder to leave. And I didn't trust myself to ignore that. Not in that moment. So I kept walking even when it felt strange, even when everything in me wanted to pause just to understand what had just happened. Because part of me was still trying to process how someone could watch you leave and not move, not speak, not even question it. And that thought followed me every step, not loud but constant, because it changes how you see everything. Not just them, but the entire relationship, because you start realizing it wasn't just that moment. It was every moment that led to it. Every time something felt off, every time something didn't sit right, every time you told yourself it wasn't enough to matter. And now all of it finally did not. Because I was strong, but because I knew if I did, I might hesitate, and I couldn't afford that. Not anymore. And I stood there for a second holding the bag, feeling everything catch up at once, not the sadness, not even the anger, just the clarity. And I think that's what people don't expect. Not the leaving, but what happens when the other person does nothing, because that silence forces you to see everything clearly. Without distraction, leaving isn't loud, it's not dramatic. It doesn't always come with a fight. Sometimes it looks like this, quiet, simple, almost invisible, but heavy because it carries everything that led to it. Every moment you ignored, every time you told yourself it wasn't that bad, every doubt you pushed aside. It all shows up right there in that one decision, and once you make it, there's no going back. Not really, because even if you did, you would see everything differently, and that changes everything. And I think that's what made it final. Not the door, not the bag, not even him. It was the way I saw it now, clearly, without excuses, without confusion. And that clarity is what made me leave. Not anger, not pain, clarity, and the strangest part is I didn't feel regret. Not in that moment. Not even after what I felt was something quieter but stronger, like everything finally made sense without needing to be explained. And I think that's what made it real. Not the leaving, but the clarity that came with it. Because once you reach that point, you're not guessing anymore. You're not hoping. You're not waiting. You just know, and knowing changes everything. So tell me, if you were in that moment, standing there, bag in your hand, and they saw you and still did nothing, would you still walk out, or would that silence make you stay?